Well, I'm almost done. Some cove molding down in the bottoms there, and a few little touch-ups. That wasn't me, but I'm happy to touch that up. And hang the door. And that will be it. Buckle up for safety as I give you a day in the life of online. No, not online. I'm actually there. Facilities maintenance. Okay, this is random. I'm about to hang this door here, and check this out. I had these hinges in my office, just these 4 hinges, sitting in my hinge section. And I picked this one up and it's got, it's 110B written on here. Well, I guess it's just gonna have to have 110B written on there. This door came from the elementary school, and 110B is the room that it came from. It's like they were meant to be together, never separated. It's a love story of doors and hinges. I'm sure the burning question on everybody's mind is, Arne, how do you hang a 200-pound door by yourself? Lift it, hold it into position, screw the hinges into the frame. That's impossible.
Well, it's not.
Actually, there are a few different methods. I have a bag. It's called a wind bag. I'm a wind bag. No, wind bag. Wind bag, like this. And what this allows you to do is just slip it underneath the door and pump it up, and it will lift the door up for me. It's quite ingenious, actually. Basically, I get everything ready by having it within arm's reach. I've got my impact driver there loaded with a screw. This is the bag. I just place this around center, and I'm gonna put the door, so I don't have to shift it sideways, I just have to lift it up. So I slide this under. I'm gonna start pumping with my foot. Of course, I have to balance and guide it, but the bag does all the work. It does all the heavy lifting. Really? That's all there is to it. It does take a little dexterity for sure, and some getting used to, and 9 out of 10 times you'll drop your screw. But that screw will hold that in place, and I don't have to worry about it falling. Grab a couple more screws. And I just deflate the bag. My door is hung. Neat, eh? Everybody's installed. It looks great. I'm going to close the door and we aren't even close. I was so close to being done too. Like literally, all I would have had to do is change up the lever set, because this one is keyed for the elementary school. And I was just gonna put a lever in that has no key at all. Good morning. Well, it appears I may have faux pas. Not taking into account that this is a used frame, I failed to measure that the bottom was 3 feet. The top is 3 feet. It can't go anywhere because of the welded corners. But the bottom can flex. And it appears that that is what happened. Now, whether it was like that, it's very likely that it was already like that, because during the installation process, I did nothing to force the bottom in, if that makes any sense. And my rough opening is perfectly square and dimensionally correct. It's not narrower at the bottom than it is at the top. But let me explain what's happened here. So the issue with this frame is all on the jamb side over here, where the door latches. not on the hinge side. That hinge side is perfectly plumb and it's squared off at the top. It's just fine. When you close the door, there is a small gap at the top over here, and that gap continues nice and even over there. So there's no issue with this part of the frame. It's all right there, basically. That is in about 1/4 inch too far. So how did we get there? I'll explain. Actually, I'm gonna do two things. I'll explain how we got there, and I'll demonstrate how to correct it if you have a frame that isn't quite trued up. Or if you ever have to go to a door call and the door isn't fitting properly, there are things that you can do.
And I'm gonna have to do them because I didn't do the other thing that I should have done in the first place, in the beginning.
So here's what's going on. This is your frame. That's essentially what's in there right now. This is exactly 3 feet. This is 3 feet minus 1/4 inch. How did that happen? When a frame ships new from the factory, well, I say factory, but I used to work in a commercial door plant. And I would build these frames. I'd weld them together. They come in pieces and you weld them together. What we would do before shipping them out, after it's welded like this, you'd add in 2 pieces of steel. We add in 2 pieces of steel at the bottom, weld it in place, and that ensures that the bottom of the frame does not flex. It doesn't move at all. And that way when you install the frame, it holds its dimension. And then once the frame is installed, you just cut them out. This did not have those pieces of steel because this is a used frame. It originally would have had that, but no longer. And when it was ripped out from being installed, it could have got bent in. When it was being transported or moved in storage, people will often carry them sideways and the top part is just kind of flexing up and down like this. Things can get damaged. And I failed when I installed this frame. Let's go over here, shall we? I failed when I installed this frame to confirm that this was exactly the same distance as this. And so you know what? It's not. The bottom of this frame needs to go that way about 1/4 inch. So how does one do that? Because I screwed up in the first place, I can now show you how to fix this.
Don't ever say I don't keep it real on this channel.
Some of you might be thinking, well, can't I just trim the edge of the door? And I'm here to say, no, there's another way. Now, remember how this frame is attached to the rough opening with the metal straps glued into place, there and there and there? Well, we need to cut those. And in order to cut those, I have to locate where they are. Now, if you feel very carefully, there's a slight little bump right there, and I can feel a slight little bump right there. So I know where they are. I'm gonna say one is there. I'm gonna say one is there. So taking my reciprocating saw, I have to slip the blade in here and I have to cut that. Now after doing that, you might say, well, hey Arne, if you do that, what's gonna hold the frame in place? Well, here's the thing. There is more than one way to secure a frame to a rough opening. You may look at some frames at some point in time and see screws going right through the frame into the rough opening. And that is what I am going to do. I'm going to leave the clips here, here, and here. I'm going to leave the clip up there. I'm going to clip these clips right there and right there. After cutting those clips, I am going to move the frame out as much as it needs, probably 1/4 inch or so. And then I'm going to secure the frame to the rough opening using these big mamma jamma screws right here. But you don't just drive them in. You actually drill a pilot hole, and then you take a punch that's got a taper on the end of it to give you a bit of a countersink, And then these screws go in, and simply by tightening the screw, you can draw the base of the frame into the alignment that you need. Hey, if I'm gonna screw up and then have to correct something, I might as well turn it into a teachable moment, right? Okay, let's go. So the first thing I have to do is try and carefully remove this piece of trim that I so tenderly made and installed, and not damage it, because I need to have access to get slip behind the frame. So this has to come out. Fortunately, I didn't over nail it to put it in. So very careful. So careful. Okay, that's good, it's coming. Very slowly. Yep, just a little bit at a time at each point. You can't rush something like this. Prying over here. Yep. Yep. Okay. There we go. Like it was never installed in the first place. And minimal carnage, which is good. And now this is revealed. My clips that I can actually get in. And now, my apologies for not being able to show you this, but I needed 2 hands on the saw. You see that is now cut. And the blade is long enough, it passed through right on the other side, and it's made the cut on this one as well. So this clip is cut, I just have to repeat the process for that one down there. Nothing has been done here that I cannot magically heal. Okay, the clips are cut. Let's just pull this big noodle out of here now. Let's just pull this big noodle. Let's just pull this big noodle. Let's just pull this big noodle out. Okay, that's good enough. At this point, I'm just setting a couple of spots so that my drill bit doesn't wander, but in retrospect, I should have done this and drilled and countersunk my holes for the screws prior to cutting the clips. I would have been more successful at it because the frame is quite thick and strong, and it's hard to make a deep enough countersink if it isn't solid when you're hammering against it. A little bit of give reduces your ability to make an actual good countersink. My vain attempt at a countersink. I believe I've already corrected the problem. And just like that, we now have a closing, functioning door. Yep, that's on me. I should have caught that at the beginning when I first installed it, but I didn't. I missed it. But I've now shown you how you can correct a door that doesn't quite fit well in the frame. You can adjust the frame. So, I guess I have to refinish it now. All right, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. No, 2 steps back so I can take 3 steps forward and then we're done. When I'm working on carpet like this, I like to vacuum during the whole work process because I don't like grinding the dirt into the carpet. It's kind of funny actually. Custodians will come in once in a while when I'm working, go, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I'll tell them, they'll go,
But don't worry about this, we'll vacuum it up.
and they're looking at the floor after I've already vacuumed it. They have no idea how bad it was at one point in time. They'd never say.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it, I'll vacuum that up.
If they saw the massive pile of carnage that I leave behind sometimes. I did it again. I left my lunch in the truck. Well, it's not really a big lunch, but it is a can of tuna. So now it's a can of hot tuna. Which has absolutely nothing in common with Jack Cassidy's band Hot Tuna from the 60s. Done. I think I'm gonna go hang out in here for a while. I almost forgot. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. See you next time.
Are they gone?